I lost everything!
You made those fucked up choices. You ruined your own life. You're not a fucking baby. For once, take some responsibility for yourself.
So the boys ended a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to make a video or two on them. I made an A-Train video. I really enjoyed that video, but I don't know, I just didn't make one. I didn't really know where to start, but I think a good part of where to start, as far as like just going over the characters for it, is the Deep. Chase Crawford played an amazing Deep, right? I think he gets overlooked because Star's Homelander was like just that good, but Chase Crawford played a terrific villain. He was never like the main villain of the story, wasn't the overarching villain of the narrative, but he was like a good villain in the sense that he was perfect for his role. Like, he was comedical. Is that a word? He was funny, but he was never like, he was never like so like unfunny that it was like, oh, you can't even look at him as a villain. Like, the whole time I still got the vibe that, yeah, this is a terrible person. And they did a really good job of like balancing him being like probably the funniest character in the whole show, but also being a terrible person too, And I think, and I talked about this a lot in my A-Train video, but he is like the perfect foil to A-Train in the sense that he shows that redemption isn't always something that's going to happen, right? I feel like we've gotten a lot of really good redemption stories lately in media. People are loving Omni-Man, A-Train, Rexplode, like everything, Arthur. And people love it, even dating back to guys like Vegeta and Sasuke, right? Like, people love a good redemption story, but I think it's always great to show that a redemption story is also very character dependent. It's also very personal, right? A redemption story doesn't just happen just because a character goes through things and then they're like, you know what? I should be a better person, right? I think we've seen that a couple times. Like, you've seen things where characters it'll be shown why a character is like this, but it's also showing that even though a character has good reasons to be like, to like have all that hatred and have all that anger, it doesn't justify it, if that makes sense, right? I think a good example of this, and I know I'm using a lot of anime examples, but I think a good example is Shigaraki from My Hero Academia, right? And All For One, honestly. You kind of see like their backstories, well, less All For One and more Shiggy, but you see in their backstories, you see why they turned out like this, right? You see Shigaraki, how he was kind of molded to be the next villain, how you look at how there's so many times where maybe if somebody spoke up, maybe if he had a helping hand like a guy like Deku did, maybe he would be a better person, right? But it also shows that, well, even though he had those reasons, it doesn't justify it, right? He's still a bad person, especially when you compare him to a guy like Endeavor, right? I'll make a video on him too. I really want to make a couple videos on MHA. I think it's really good character-wise, where you see like, okay, the reasons for why they're doing it, but then you see Endeavor goes on to try and be a better person, right? So what I was kind of trying to just say in that is, I love how it like shows that like, even though these characters have chances to be better people, they don't always take them. And I think that's really great because that's very realistic. Like, for some of the worst people in life, they're always going to have a chance. Like, everybody has a second chance to be better. I think people do deserve a second chance to be better. But when it's shown that they don't care enough to take these second chances, I think that's really great to show their humanity in a way, because the Deep is somebody that never changes. He's shown as somebody that does the opposite of redemption, and he just kind of falls deeper and deeper into his vices and his negative traits. And I think it stems from the fact that he's always been the same guy, right? Like, he's changed a bit, but not in the sense of what you would think, right? He's just kind of like allowed his worst like ideals and worst like characteristics are kind of like just emphasized more, because when you look at it in the situations that he's around, it's less that those situations are not only pushing him to try and be a better person, but they're also allowing him to fall deeper into those vices, right? We see as the story goes, there's less and less responsibility on these superheroes, well, in quotations, right? But so that means that he can kind of get away with a lot more stuff, right? Like, he couldn't get away with, like, him and Homelander especially, like, they wouldn't be able to get away with a lot of stuff they did in the end of the series compared to the beginning, right? but because they were able to take advantage of the power vacuum, because they were able to get into certain levels of power, they were able to do that, right? And I think it's good part. I think it's a really big like contrast. Well, not a contrast. It's very like realistic, right? I feel like when you look at our current like political climate, there's a lot of people that, you know, they've always been this bad. It's just that they're allowed to be open about it. You know, you go online, especially on a place like Twitter, you see like races are just out there with it all the time, right? And it's not that they weren't always racist, it's that they were. It's just the world is a lot more like they're just allowed to do it because there's other people in those places of power that allow them to be like this, right? Example is the Deep in Homelander, right? Homelander's like the big bad. He's the guy that's making all these things happen. He's the one that's changing the country, which allows Deep to benefit off of that system, right? And I think he's always such a fun character to look at because he's like, he feels exactly like one of those like male misogynistic alpha male podcasters, and it gets really on the nose, especially in season 5, which is kind of like a lot of the show, and people do criticize it, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's like you really do have to be in your face about this media literacy because a lot of people wouldn't pick up on that, right? And I think it works so well because he's like shown like to be in the same vein as like somebody who benefits from such a crappy system, who doesn't outright like say certain things, but he acts exactly like somebody who is just as hateful as the rest of them, right? You know, I think it's so fun how out of touch he is with certain things, right? I forget, it was the video where he said, "I stand against racism" or something, and it's just so funny because it's like, wow, that's so realistic, man. It's just it's just such a fun thing to look at when you look back on it. And it's good because you really look at it, you see it from the very beginning of the show, like it's been built up this whole time. Like, he's not a good person, he knows this, but he refuses to change because that's who he is, right? His very first like major thing he does on screen is sexually assaulting Starlight, dude. Like, excuse me. And it's like, yeah, like that's pretty in line with him, and he kind of stays the same person as he did before, later, right? And he's had times to show that he can make things right, and you see that there's like potential for him to be a better person because you showed that he does clearly care for the sea life in some way. But it also shows that like he's very open to like put the people around him down if he thinks it's gonna put him above, right? You know, he kills Ambrosia, right? Like, that's crazy. Like, if he truly gave as much a shit about sea life as he tells himself he does, then he wouldn't have killed her for the sole purpose of moving up in life because she was trying to be like the angel on his shoulder for him, right? And it all really does come to a head at the very end where Starlight tells him, you need to take responsibility for your actions. You need to be a better person. He's all like, this is all your fault. And again, at the very end, he's still deflecting, and he still, at the very end, just says, no, and then dies. And it's just such a great, I think it's so, like, it's not talked about enough, but it's so well done, right? And it's just so well done. It's so well done. And he's perfectly showing like that Andrew Tate type of guy, you know, insecure man-child who's a great representation of like conservative sheep and male podcasters and, you know, misogynistic influencers, as I said before. And it really does contrast with A-Train because it's like such a good way of showing that redemption doesn't just start with the actions around you. Redemption starts with looking inwards, right? And you kind of see him go through like a fake redemption arc, I want to say, because like earlier in the seasons where he's like, oh, I've gone through a redemption arc, I've, you know, I you know, sorry, like, I'm so sorry, I want to become a better man and be back in the 7, but he kind of just stays the same, right? Like he's still the same guy, he's still not a good person, right? And I think it's so well that they did it so early because it's like, oh, maybe he is becoming a better person. And you saw how much of the focus of the story was on him at first. And it's like, oh, no, he's not. He's still a terrible person. And, you know, and you also see it with Black Noir 2 specifically, right? You know, always saying, oh, you're my bro, come on, bro, we're bros, you're my boy. You know what I'm saying? If you need anything, I got you, bro. He puts himself as this like real nice, cool guy to, you know, be all relatable and be all chill with, when in reality, as shown, he would step over Black Noir 2 for anything, as he knows that it would get him ahead, right? When it came to capturing Stan Edgar, he sat there, knocked out Black Noir 2, and then boom, so he could take the credit because he said, I need this, right? And at the very end, when he killed him, which is a little bit more justified because to him, like, that pipeline disaster is like way crazier, right? Like, that's like that's actually a big deal to him, but it's born of him killing the director. I forget his name, but y'all know what I mean. But yeah, it's like the Deep is just such a great character in that sense, right? It feels so much like real life in the sense that, you know, even with the abilities to like change for the better and do certain things and come back and do what should be done, he continues to fall deeper and deeper into what he wants to do, right? He continues to just kind of like dig more into his own vices, right? And I think it's just so well done. I think it's super well and I think it's like so well. It's like not a crazy, like it's not a crazy long arc, right? Like, because it feels like on surface level, oh, he's some pure, like, harmless guy that's trying to do better, but in reality, he's not, right? He's not at all, you know? And you see it because you think, like, oh, maybe he's gonna use these things that happened to him, these, you know, how he was going through his insecurities at the beginning with his physical deformity, I guess, of his gills, right? You know, and he kind of like has that protective shell, and you see it like, and you see it and you think of it like, oh, maybe he'll like beat through it and he'll be able to become a better person, but in reality he doesn't, because that's who he is, right? And I think it's really well done. I think it's really well done. And you know, you see a lot of theories of people saying, oh, what if it's like all in his head and like he isn't actually like communicating with Sea Life, it's like they're a reflection of what he thinks, and so when they kill him, it's because he feels so guilty over the pipeline disaster and over killing Ambrosia and all that stuff. And I think that's a really good theory. I actually don't hate that theory. I actually like that theory a lot. I don't think it's true. I do think that they are like real just to him, but yeah, but I do like that theory because it works really well. It works really well. Like it works very well, you know. And when you compare it to people like A-Train and Queen Maeve, I think he's like a great foil to them, right? But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening or watching. I see y'all enjoy the Obsession video. I might come out with another video for it, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that many more. It's only one it's only one movie. It's not a very long movie either. It's pretty short, so there's not much more I can talk about it with. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys for listening or watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good day.